Welcome into the Landon Tangwall Show. Miami takes down Ole Miss in the college football playoff semifinal, and they finish it off through a gritty 15-play drive that featured 4 third down conversions. And really, this Miami offense was good on third down all day long. They had 11 third down conversions throughout this game, which is their most in any single game since 2020. Now, if you guys are enjoying all this college football playoff content, we're going to be doing a ton of it around the national championship. Miami versus Oregon/Indiana, we will see tonight, but we're going to be covering the heck out of that. You won't want to miss any of it, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys. But without further ado, let's roll the tape. All right, first play of the drive, 1st and 10. Ole Miss just took the lead, and Miami is trying to take the momentum back on a skinny post here to Marion, and Beck just leaves this one short. And he knows he missed this one. It's the weird part about it is like his mechanics and everything that he does here, it's really good. Like he drives his hip through, good arm angle, everything looks normal. Just leaves it really, really short. I think he was trying to be a little too perfect with it. And look, he knows that he left this thing short. You see him putting his hands over his head right here. But don't worry, he is going to get this one back in a second. All right, it is 2nd and 10, and Beck bounces back in a big way here. Really nice throw with anticipation here. And something I want you to notice, so this Ole Miss DB, his hips at the snap here, they are square to the sideline. They are not square to the wide receiver, and you're going to see that change in a second here when Ole Miss starts to press up on these guys. But this is what Beck sees. He sees a guy, his hips are facing towards the sideline, and right away, he is going to start to shuffle backwards because he is threatened by this wide receiver. So shuffle, 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 and then as soon as he really feels like this is going to be a route that's going vertical, he starts to get into this crossover run, which when you get into a crossover run going vertical, it is hard to get back and snap off on these outbreaking routes. So Beck sees that, and look, this ball is leaving his hand right here. Marion isn't even out of his break yet, and this ball is already coming out. I mean, that is really, really good stuff. By the time his head is around, it is right on his body. That is perfect delivery and taking advantage of the coverage that the defense gave you. And like I said, one hell of a way for Beck to bounce back after that last throw. All right, now it is 3rd and 2, and you're going to trust your offensive line to get you a few yards and Mark Fletcher, and he does just that. So a couple things I want to note here. So you're just running basic inside zone right up the gap. So a couple things here. Markel Bell does a really good job walling this thing off, making sure that this defensive end can't get inside, and we got a really nice lane here for Fletcher. So get vertical there, great job. Couple other things here. So what you're going to see is you're going to see this one tech here. He is going to slant to the opposite A gap. And then Brockermeyer does a good job kind of just picking this thing up a little bit, but I want you to watch Cooper right here. Cooper is going to be on a double team on this defensive tackle until this defensive tackle loops out. And the rule of thumb is if something loops away, something is coming to you. So really, really love here from Cooper that he braces back into this thing and helps muddy this up, because if this defensive tackle breaks all the way through here, he could make a tackle for loss, making this a 4th down. But great job from Brockermeyer, great job from Cooper picking this up, and then Sampson right here getting up on a linebacker, just getting in the way a little bit and getting that 1st down. All right, now Miami is back in 1st and 10, and you are going to see this slot fade to your tight end, and this is a perfect pass from Carson Beck. Oh my gosh, it could not be better than that. Not able to come down with it. Really good defense by the safety here. But let's talk about the protection for a second. So they're going to bring a stunt, and then here we go, safety off the edge. Now, what's really interesting about this right here is that Markel Bell, he's got this defensive end. And Sampson right here is kind of playing both, if you see. He's got a hand in here, he's got a hand in here. Bell, at this point, he has already seen this blitzing safety. And you might ask, why is he not just getting off on it? It's because he doesn't feel Sampson knocking him off. He has to feel him before he can get off on the safety, because he doesn't just want to leave a down lineman going right at Beck. So Bell is waiting. I still don't feel Sampson yet. I still don't feel him. Finally, I feel him. You see how their butts are touching? I feel him. I can get off on this thing. And look, if it was just a second later, I mean, look how close that the safety is to getting to Beck. I mean, this was a half a second away from being a strip sack, but great job here from Bell, waiting to that final second, getting off, and allows Beck to release this thing. And like I said, comes with a beautiful pass. This is just a really good breakup by the DB. All right, it is 2nd and 10 now, and you are going to get a dump-off pass here to Brown. Linebacker gets down on it, and he fights for these extra yards. And this is something, I think this was maybe the most underrated play of this drive, where he catches it 2 to 3 yards deep in the backfield. This tackle's made right here. We're going to be sitting at 3rd and 13, 3rd and 12, and wills his way for a couple extra yards. And I think this is really, really big because you get tackled there. There's a big difference between 3rd and 12, where you're getting tackled right here, and just fight, toss him off you as much as you can, get back vertical and get a couple yards. 3rd and 8 versus 3rd and 12 is big. This is the other thing I want you to notice. This is going to be important in a second. Markel and Sampson here, they get beat on this stunt. This is what we call a T, because he's the pick man, E, looping around. And Markel actually kind of gets put on his back here. Sampson is trying to kind of take 2, and you get some pressure in your face. And this is why Beck has to get the football out, because they run this stunt and they get home on it. And we're going to get back to this in a second, but beautiful fight from Brown. All right, now it is 3rd and 8. You got to have this one, and you know who Beck's going to. He's going to Marion, and you get a face mask. It could have been a DPI. It could have been whatever you want. It was definitely a penalty. Honestly, I think this is one of Beck's best balls of the entire game. Look where he puts this thing. I mean, that is a really, really nice football. If he doesn't get his face mask yanked this way, that is perfect delivery, exactly where it needs to be. But you get this first down and you keep the drive moving. But this is what I want to talk about real quick. Look at that. Celebrate. You could tell, look, when your shoulder pad's popping out like that, the DB was definitely doing some type of holding. So guess what we're going to get again? We are going to get this TE on both sides. So you're going to get the TE trying to come into Bell, and you're going to loop this man around. Guess what happens, though? Sampson, this time, now, he takes the fight to this defensive tackle. Watch him, boom, stab that hand and just completely delivers this man to Markel Bell. And then, bam, he's able to get off over the top and pick this thing up. So now Beck is in a perfect pocket, and then show you pretty much same exact thing on the other side. You're going to get the same thing. You're going to get this TE. Watch Cooper right here. Just stabs this thing. Beautiful hand action right there. And then he's just going to pass this thing right off to Maui Noah. And like I said, you get perfect protection, exactly what you need. Beck throws a really nice ball, and you get the DPI. All right, now it is 1st and 10, and Miami tries to come back to a similar play they ran on the last drive, where Malachi Toney took it all the way for a touchdown on a wide receiver screen, and you got the offensive line out. So you throw this one to Daniels, and just Maui Noah kind of misses out here, and you get some safeties down. So pretty routine, just kind of minimal gain. But the reason why I think they went to this play is because they had just hit it on a touchdown on the last drive. All right, now it is 2nd and 6, and everything's clamped up at the start. Beck has to find some time and scramble, because this is what he's looking at. Everybody all over the field, completely covered. All right, so now I got to create time in the backfield. Scramble around. Malachi Toney, go up, make a play for me. Almost the play of the game. This was an insane catch. You see, he has a pretty nice pocket the entire time. We're going to talk about this in 1 second, but I mean, we got to show this off. Look at this catch. Oh my gosh, this guy is a straight up playmaker. And for those wondering why, so his toe comes down first right here, and then his heel comes down. And people are saying, why is that not a toe tap? Well, apparently you have to declare a toe tap. It can't be toe and then heel. It has to be a full on toe tap. So if you're falling backwards and you go toe to heel out of bounds, it's going to be out of bounds. It has to just be toe, and you basically just fall down. So that's kind of the explanation for why this was an incomplete pass. Now, something that was kind of interesting, Markel Bell was kind of getting beat around the edge a decent amount against Ole Miss. So I think Beck, he looks over here, and he sees that, okay, one is coming off the edge, and Bell's not in the greatest position. So I think what's interesting is he steps up at first, and then at this point, the reason why he does this like side shuffle is because he thinks one is still rushing around the edge. So watch, he thinks that one's probably right about here, so he's just going to eject to the left. Boom. And he actually ends up almost jumping into one, because like I said, he assumed that one was right about here, and that's why he did that ejection. So now he's looking, oh crap, he's right there. I got to turn around, ball tucked, panic mode, turn around. Malachi Toney, almost the play of the day. All right, once again, another third down. We are 3rd and 6 here, and one heck of a throw and catch by Daniels, and the fight here. This is what I love. So you remember earlier we were talking about this similar throw to Marion and how there was off coverage and how this DB that was all the way up here, how he kind of got into a little bit of a back pedal and really turned his hips. Well, they know what Miami wants now. They know this is going to be some type of hitch, some type of comeback, out-breaking route. So look, now this DB is going to be square to the line of scrimmage. He's going to just match him with a sidestep, completely square, hands on. So this is completely different coverage than you've been seeing. And Daniels really does a good job creating just a tiny bit of separation. But once again, ball is out of Beck's hand right here, and we are just now getting into our break. Great anticipation by Beck. So when Daniels turns around, boom, it is right on his face mask where it needs to be. And then I love this. He doesn't know. Initially, with forward progress, he has the first down, but Daniels doesn't know that. So right here, this is what you saw all day long. You saw it from Tony. You saw it from Fletcher. You see it from Daniels here. The fight, and I'm going to make sure I get that first down. Great job. And then once again here, like I said, this left side, they got beat on that same stunt at the beginning. They did not allow themselves to get beat on that again. Sampson, boom, tossing this thing over. Great job. Get back in front of the looper. Beautiful. And like I said, right on Daniel's face mask. Perfect delivery, and he's fighting for that first down. All right, we are 1st and 10 now, and I thought this was an interesting play. You're going to get a flood concept to the right that you're going to see, and Beck's eyes, he's holding the safety vertical, but as soon as he throws this football, I want you to see something. Check this out. Malachi Tony beat his man deep. Beck might have had a touchdown here. Let's go sideline view to take a look at this one. So this is what you're getting, basically a flood concept. You're getting a flat by the running back. You get a quick hitch here by Daniels, and you're getting a vertical route here by Tony. And I think Beck just gets off this a little quick because you get a nice little stutter move here by Tony, and then boom, we're just blowing by this DB. Listen, you lay that up there, that might just be a touchdown, and instead kind of throws it a little too high for Daniels. And honestly, this was almost a little bit of a risky pass where you got this flat defender, this defensive end that dropped into coverage, and he's kind of playing both of them. And I think when Beck releases it, it was almost like, I don't know if I should have thrown that just because the flat defender's there. So he left it extra high on purpose to make sure that thing could not get picked off. But I just thought this was interesting that he had Malachi Tony deep, but decides to go to his quick little hitch route and just leaves it a little bit high. All right, now we are in 2nd and 10. Beck dropping back, and everything is pretty much covered up. If you look around here, okay, so everything covered. Where are you going with the football? He's going to create, and throws the football away. For Beck, this is a little risky. I'm going to be honest here. So gets really good protection from his offensive line, starts to roll out, and I didn't realize, look, he leaves it high enough, but that is really close. If you're going to throw the football away, I need this football to be in Tempe. Like, I need this to go flying out of the sideline. Do not make it this close right here, but kind of gets away with one. But you got to be more decisive when you're going to just throw the football away. Make sure that thing flies into the stands. All right, back in familiar territory. It is 3rd and long, and you know Beck is going to convert. Beautiful deep dig to Marion here. Let's talk about Marion's route and how he runs this thing. So he is going to run this deep dig. What I want you to notice first is he understands I have to attack this cornerback. Now, how he's going to do that is he's going to create really nice leverage for himself by starting this route out, by kind of breaking it just slowly outside. So watch him break slowly out. You see how he's running kind of out to the left. And what that does is it pushes not only this cornerback back, but it pushes him back and out a little bit because he's threatening him this way. And that's going to create really nice leverage for when finally, right at about the 32, he snaps this thing vertical. So now instead of the cornerback being right here, he's out here. So that's what I mean. He's got inside leverage now for an inside breaking route. And then boom, when he snaps this thing off, you see how much space he has. As soon as Beck sees him, boom, we're putting it right on his face mask. Really nice delivery, convert, and it is a first down. And then let's talk about Malachi Tony right here on this nice whip route. And what this does is right away, it holds these lower defenders down in, and they actually even start to bump over because they think he's going to run some type of drag. So they start to bump, and it just completely occupies the low defender. And then the other aspect of this is the entire time, Carson Beck, he's staring right at this safety. He's holding him with his eyes, and the safety's looking back at him. So it's kind of a chess match. It's like, where are you looking? Where are you looking? And then finally the safety goes, oh, crap. I see where he's looking now. I got to go break on it, and he's just too late. So great play design, but also great setup by Marion and great job by Beck holding the safety with his eyes. All right, now it is 1st and 10, and Beck, this is the one where he kind of slips down, falls down, and there is a loss of a yard. But I want to talk about this. So what you have here is it's basically just mid-zone with a read option. So you're reading this backside end. If he crashes down in on this running back, Beck can pull this thing, but if he stays upfield, then Beck hands this thing off to the running back. Now, real quick, what I want you to notice by this offensive line, this is what you're blocking. So Maui Noa out here we go, right guard here. You basically have the center going out here. He might hold a little bit and then boom, go out to the linebacker. And then you have a combo block here between left guard, left tackle, up to 6. Now, what happens at the snap is, okay, cool. We get here, body on body, body on body. This guy loops. And so, okay, the center's going to take him. Now, left guard knows, all right, that means I have to now climb up to get this linebacker. So now what does all of this tell the left tackle, Markel Bell? It tells him, oh, it's just my job to climb up to 6. But if you watch Markel Bell here, he starts to like lean back and thinks that I need to brace back into this defensive end, but the defensive end's the read man. You don't want to touch him. So he crashes down in, and that's a trigger for Beck. Okay, I need to pull this thing then because he's crashing. I'm going to go get yards. And next thing you know, he turns around and he's got the most massive human being ever to exist right in his face. And it's like, Markel, you're in my way, move, and then ends up running in to his running back and falls down. And the reason why that Markel does this, because he doesn't just climb up, is because he thinks in his head, this offensive lineman is taught, every single one of them, if something goes away, I am going to brace back. And I don't know why that just triggered in his brain. So he should be, instead of just bracing back, it's brace back, but brace up into this linebacker. But instead, he just thinks I need to like brace back into this defensive end and kind of just messes everything up. Because if he were to get up on 6 right here and he was on him and Beck pulls this and you got Tony coming in as a blocker, this could have been a big play, but Markel Bell actually kind of just messes this thing up. All right, now we are in 2nd and 11, and Beck does a really nice job reading the field here and getting all the way to his backside dig, which is one of his last reads. So what you're going to see first is something that Miami's done a lot. It's just a little wide receiver screen here. So Malachi Tony's going to come block, and you're trying to hit Daniels underneath. But Beck is going to see that this linebacker is going to be right on top of this and drop into it. So he sees that. He gives it a nice little pump fake, and then boom, let's snap our eyes back vertical. We're going to read the middle of the field. All right, now I have this tight end on this in route. He looks, he doesn't like it because we got a linebacker right here and you got the safety coming down. But he knows now, because I have this safety, middle of the field safety, biting on my tight end in route, that means that he's going to be out of the equation for my deep dig backside. So all I need Marion to do is just beat his man. Breaks this off really nicely, has some separation. But what I want you to see is when this ball is released, Marion's basically at the 5-yard line. What I love here is he helps out his quarterback. Because the ball is a little late, I mean, it's his last read. It's not Beck's fault that he gets back to it so late. Does a great job reading the field, but it's just this is the last read. So when he releases this thing, watch how Marion comes all the way back to the football. He attacks back at the football and catches this thing at the 8-yard line instead of the 5, and that helps out his quarterback. Catch it, turn up field just a little bit, and you get yourself a first down. It is 1st and goal from the 8-yard line, and you're going to hand this ball off to Brown, and he's going to get you 5 yards. You're going to rely on your offensive line. And look at this combo block here. Left guard, left tackle. This is a B block. I really love this from Sampson. Watch how he digs his feet in the ground. One, and then we're going to plant this other foot in the ground and watch him sink down in, and he's just going to forklift this thing up, and then Bell does a great job coming in, and they're just moving this thing. You get a good block from your guards, from your tackles out here, and just reestablishing the line of scrimmage. This is why you run the ball on 1st and goal here when you have 2 timeouts. So watch it from the sideline view. He kind of leaks out of it last second, but watch where they just completely erase him from the 8-yard line and just take him all the way down to the 6-yard line. Like I said, he kind of leaks through last second and helps make out on this tackle, but still a great job reestablishing the line of scrimmage, and they did what they did all day long, which was be physical as all get out. All right, the final play, 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line that ended all of it, and there's a lot to talk about in this one. Carson Beck scrambles, touchdown, game over. Let's talk about it. So Miami gets in a bunch up here. And so what Ole Miss is running is they're running kind of a match coverage, which is basically zone that starts out as zone and then it turns into man. So you're going to see it's zone and then everybody slowly kind of starts to man up with their guys. And then you have some zone coverage on the backside over here. So what that does is because it essentially turns into man, everybody that was in zone coverage at the top of the screen is now in essentially man coverage. And so these are all routes that are working from left to right. So what does that do? It pulls everybody away from the left side of the end zone. So Beck sees this. I don't have anything. I'm starting to run out of time. Don't worry. We're going to get to the O-line in a second. And now I look, and here we go. Half of the field wide open. Carson Beck using his legs. That's been the most underrated part of his game all playoffs long. His legs. Big time stuff. All right. Let's talk about the offensive line here. This is just amazing. Let's start out with Francis Maui Noah right here. So defensive end works down in, does a great job getting this down, kind of sealing this off. But now we have a defensive tackle looping over top. Francis has eyes in the back of his head. Last second, oh crap, I see this. Watch him just stab this foot in the ground, and I'm going to accelerate and go save my quarterback. Boom, and lay a lick on him while I'm doing it too. Eat that. And we're going to get ourselves a touchdown. And then the other one offensive lineman that I want to highlight here. Here we go. Check out Samson. I love this. So you get some people, they're looping around, looping through. Watch Samson kind of collect this. And he doesn't just collect it and just let this go. This defensive lineman's trying to rip through. Watch him take this, get underneath his shoulder pads, and I'm just going to completely drive him out of the way. This is what this block right here helps make this massive hole that Beck is able to run through. And there go the Canes off to the national championship.